The galaxy had known peace for a long time. The alien races had worked hard to build their empires, expanding across the stars. Their technologies were advanced, and their fleets were feared by all. They had faced many threats over the centuries, but none had come close to challenging their strength. That was, until they noticed something strange. It began as a small blip on the galactic radar. An unknown ship was approaching the outskirts of their space. At first, no one thought much of it. It was just another human ship, most likely lost, or drifting. The humans had recently made contact with other races, but their technology was far behind the older civilizations. The galaxy had dismissed them as no real threat. But this ship was different. The Terran Warship, as it was later called, appeared suddenly, like a shadow that fell over the galaxy. The alien councils received reports that this human ship was not like any they had seen before. It was large, much larger than any human ship had the right to be. Its design was unusual, with sharp angles and edges, unlike the sleek curves most alien ships favored. The reports indicated that it was heading straight for a heavily populated section of alien space, where many powerful fleets resided. At first, the alien leaders dismissed the reports. They assumed it was just a mistake. No human ship could pose a danger to their great fleets. But as the Terran Warship drew closer, the reports became clearer. The ship was massive to be ignored. Still, the aliens were confident. They had dealt with threats before. This ship would be no different. The first sighting of the Terran Warship was from an alien fleet patrolling the edge of their space. They saw it from a distance, just a dot in the dark expanse of space. They laughed, thinking it was just another human vessel, perhaps a scout. It seemed too small and insignificant to matter. Then, the ship's engines flared, and the Terran Warship leaped forward, moving at a speed that shocked everyone. The aliens could hardly believe their eyes. Human ships weren't capable of such speeds. The warship didn't just move fast, it moved with purpose. It wasn't aimlessly drifting like other human vessels. It was headed straight for the heart of alien space. News spread quickly, and soon the alien leaders were discussing the arrival of the strange human vessel. Their initial arrogance turned into curiosity. Some laughed, others were concerned. But no one took it seriously. After all, it was just one human ship. What harm could it do? Then the warship crossed into their space, and everything changed. At first, it was a strange silence. The warship simply appeared, entering the borders of alien space without a word. No communication, no signals. Just a massive ship moving steadily forward. The alien fleet commanders were watching from their stations, waiting for some sign of aggression or a request for communication. But nothing came. The Terran Warship just continued its course. Minutes passed, then hours. The alien fleets watched. In disbelief, they began to wonder if the humans were making a mistake. Why would they send just one ship into the heart of their territory? Were they hoping for help? Did they have a message to deliver? There were so many questions, but no answers. The warship just kept moving forward. The alien commanders gathered to discuss the situation. Some were eager to send a message to the Terran ship, while others wanted to wait. The silence from the humans was unnerving, surely. The humans weren't that foolish. They must have known the power of the fleet surrounding them. Why would they risk entering space so heavily guarded? Finally, a decision was made. The alien fleets would send a small scout ship to approach the Terran warship. They would communicate with the humans, find out their intentions, and if necessary, escort them out of their territory. The scout ship moved closer, cautiously. The distance between the two ships narrowed, but the Terran warship didn't make any sudden movements. It was a large, dark mass in space, like a shadow waiting to pounce. The scout ship's sensors were now fully active, scanning the warship for signs of life, for signs of weapons, for any kind of danger. But still, there was no response. The Terran warship simply remained silent, its engines humming softly in the background. The scout ship reached a safe distance from the human vessel and began transmitting signals, requesting to speak with the humans. Still, there was no answer. The alien crew aboard the scout ship grew anxious. But they were trained for these situations. They knew how to handle unexpected encounters. They tried again, sending another signal. This time, they received a response. The message that came through was short, sharp, and simple. "Stay out of our way." The message echoed through the speakers of the alien ship. The crew was stunned. The tone was not what they had expected. The humans didn't seem scared. They didn't even sound interested in conversation. They were speaking as if they already knew what was about to happen. Then, without warning, the Terran Warship activated its weapons. Energy blasts shot out from the warship, striking the alien scout ship with terrifying force. The blast hit the scout ship's shields first, but the shields couldn't hold. The alien ship was thrown off course, spinning into the void as its systems began to fail. The aliens watched in shock. This wasn't just a random human vessel. This was a warship, and it had just attacked one of their own. The news spread quickly. Faster than the speed of light, the alien fleets were in chaos. The Terran warship had opened fire, and there was no turning back. The warship had proven it wasn't a harmless vessel. It was powerful, fast, and more dangerous than anything the aliens had seen before. The galaxy was now aware. Humanity was not a species to be ignored. The aliens were in a state of confusion. The Terran warship had just attacked one of their scout ships. With a power they didn't fully understand, they had expected the humans to be weak, a species still struggling to find their place in the galaxy. Instead, they had encountered a force they could not easily defeat. The alien commanders and leaders scrambled to understand what had happened. What kind of ship was this, and where had it come from? On the bridge of one of the largest alien fleets, Commander Zork sat, his fingers pressing into the armrest of his command chair. As he gazed at the massive holographic map of the galaxy, his mind raced with questions. This was not a simple human ship. The power and speed of the warship were beyond anything they had encountered from any other species in the galaxy. No human vessel had ever been capable of such strength. So, where did it come from? In the quiet of his command center, Zork reviewed all the reports. The Terran warship had entered their space, moved with perfect precision, and attacked without warning. It had a strange and complex structure, unlike anything they had seen before. Its armor was strong, but the most unsettling part was its weaponry. The energy blast it had fired was like nothing they had ever encountered. It didn't just disable the scout ship, it nearly destroyed it in an instant. A young officer stepped forward, a look of worry on her face. "Commander, the humans didn't just come from nowhere. We know they've been around for a while. The records show their earliest interactions with other races only began a few centuries ago. They couldn't have developed this kind of technology in such a short time." Zork turned to her, his eyes narrowing. "That is what troubles me. The humans have no history of warships, no record of advanced weaponry, no signs of such development. Yet this warship is far beyond their technological capabilities. How did they do it?" The officer hesitated. "There's something else. We've been receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. It seems the humans have been preparing for something. We don't understand." Zork nodded grimly. "Prepare a team to investigate Earth. We need to know how they created this warship and why it's so powerful. The galaxy needs answers." Meanwhile, on Earth, the Terran warship was still in motion. The human crew aboard the ship was focused, working with incredible efficiency. The warship was designed not just to fight, it was built to survive. Humans had faced countless challenges on their home planet, from hostile environments to devastating wars. They had learned how to adapt, how to innovate, and now they had created something that could challenge even the most advanced alien fleets. In the heart of the warship, Captain Evan Harris stood in front of the command console, his eyes scanning the status reports. The ship was running smoothly. The energy systems were stable, the weapons were fully charged, and the shields were holding strong. He was a seasoned leader, having fought in numerous battles on Earth. But this mission was unlike any he had faced before. This wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. "We have our orders, Captain," Lieutenant Maria Vega said, her voice steady and calm. "We'll continue moving forward as planned. The aliens need to understand that we're not just here to take part in their politics. We're here to protect our future. No one threatens humanity. Evan turned to her and nodded. Exactly. Let's make sure they understand that. As the warship moved deeper into alien territory, the alien fleets began to take notice. They had sent out reconnaissance ships, hoping to gather more intelligence on the humans. But the humans were elusive. Every attempt to contact the Terran Warship was met with silence. The human ship didn't respond to hails. It simply kept moving forward, with no sign of hesitation. On one of the alien ships, General Varnick stood in front of a large display. His species was known for their fearlessness in battle, but even he was starting to feel a sense of unease. "They're not answering," he said, his voice tight. "What are they waiting for?" His officer, a younger alien with a greenish hue to his skin, replied. "They're waiting for us to make a move. I can feel it." Varnick growled in frustration. "It's not just a ship, it's a message. The humans are sending a signal to the galaxy, and we're not sure how to respond to it. We've been studying them, and we still don't understand them fully." The war against the humans had been brewing for years. The Terrans had always been seen as an insignificant species, too young, too small, too unimportant to ever pose a threat. They were not part of the old alliances, the ones that ruled the galaxy with an iron fist. Yet now, here they were, with a ship that could take down entire fleets with ease. The question that haunted the alien leaders was simple. How could humans, a species that had only recently reached the stars, have such a powerful ship? Zorak's mind was spinning with possibilities. "What if they've had help?" he asked, his voice quiet but full of tension. "What if another power has been assisting them? They couldn't have built something like this on their own." The young officer looked down at the map and then back at Zorak. "If they've had help, it could explain the technology. But from whom? No one knows of any alien race that would willingly assist humans. The galaxy has watched them for too long to miss anything like that." Zorak tapped his fingers on the armrest of his chair. "I don't know, but we need to know more. Send scouts to Earth. We need to find out how they did this." At the same time, Earth was taking every step to prepare for the coming battle. The humans knew they would soon be tested, and they were ready for years. They had built up the resources, the technology, and the knowledge needed to create the Terran Warship. Their ancestors had faced many challenges, from the first steps into space to the wars that had almost destroyed their world. They had learned from those battles, and now they had created something that would prove they were not to be taken lightly. Back on Earth, scientists and engineers worked around the clock. They were studying every aspect of the warship's technology, ensuring it was functioning at its best. There was no room for error. Every system had to be perfect. The warship was not just a tool of war, it was a symbol of human determination, of their ability to rise above all odds and stand tall against the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Captain Evan Harris stood alone in the control room, looking out into the vastness of space. The stars stretched endlessly before him. The warship was moving swiftly, its course set for the heart of alien territory. Humanity's future was at stake, and there was no turning back now. "Ready when you are, Captain," Maria said, her voice breaking the silence. Evan nodded. "Let's show them what humans are capable of." As the Terran Warship continued its journey, the galaxy waited. The aliens had underestimated humanity, but now they would understand that the Terrans were no longer just another species. They were a force to be reckoned with. The tension in the galaxy had reached a boiling point. For days, the Terran Warship had been moving through alien space, with no sign of slowing down. The alien fleets had watched in silence, unsure of what to do. The humans weren't responding to any messages. They didn't communicate. They simply continued on their path, moving through the vast emptiness of space with deadly intent. Back in the alien command centers, the discussions grew more heated. Many of the galaxy's most powerful races were involved, and they were all facing the same question. What were the humans planning? Why hadn't they stopped or tried to make contact? The fact that the Terran Warship hadn't backed down, hadn't even reacted to the many attempts at communication, suggested something was terribly wrong. on the bridge of a large alien battleship. General Varnick sat in his chair, glaring at the holographic map of the area. He had commanded fleets for years, but this was unlike anything he had faced. "They're asking for a fight," he muttered, shaking his head. "If they won't talk, they'll have to understand the consequences." His officers were silent, uneasy. No one wanted to make the first move, but everyone knew something had to be done. The Terran Warship was not some stray ship. It was a statement. It was a challenge. And if the aliens didn't act, they would look weak in the eyes of the galaxy. Varnick turned to his second-in-command. "Send a fleet to intercept them. Show them what happens when they ignore us." The alien fleet moved into position, slowly closing the distance between themselves and the Terran warship. The ships were large, equipped with powerful weapons and advanced shields. They had the upper hand, at least in numbers. The aliens were confident that this human ship, despite its strange power, would not be able to withstand an organized assault. As the alien fleet advanced, the Terran warship finally reacted. It moved with incredible speed, faster than the aliens expected, almost as though it had been waiting for this moment. The first shots were fired. A massive burst of energy surged from the Terran warship, slamming into the leading alien ship. The blast struck with such force that the alien ship's shields flickered before failing entirely. The ship was torn apart in an instant, the debris scattering in all directions. The aliens were stunned. They had expected some resistance, but not this level of power. The humans had launched their first attack, and it was clear that this ship was not like anything they had ever seen before. The remaining alien ships began to fire back, their weapons blasting toward the Terran warship, but the warship was faster. Its shields strong and its counterattack swift. The alien ships fired more, but each shot was either deflected or avoided. The Terran warship seemed to anticipate their moves, almost as if it could read their tactics before they made them. In the midst of the battle, the alien commanders were scrambling. "We've underestimated them," one officer said, his voice filled with panic. "Their technology is beyond anything we've faced. Their ship, it's moving like it knows exactly where we're going to attack." General Varnick watched in silence, his brow furrowed. He had fought in many battles, but this was different. The humans were not afraid. The Terran warship had no hesitation in its movements, no fear of retaliation. It was relentless, like a predator stalking its prey. The alien fleet was struggling to keep up with the unexpected speed and agility of the warship. "We need reinforcements," Varnick said, his voice cold. Now, more alien ships arrived, surrounding the Terran warship on all sides. This was supposed to be the moment they would overwhelm the humans. The Terran warship might be strong, but no ship could survive an entire fleet, or so they thought. The Terran warship seemed to read the shift in tactics and responded immediately. Its weapons fired again, targeting the weakest points in the alien ships. Energy blasts ripped through shields, tearing holes in the alien vessels. One ship exploded in a fiery burst, the remnants drifting helplessly in space. Another ship's engines were hit, sending it spinning off course, helpless and drifting into the void. The alien fleet was falling apart. The Terran warship had decimated their front line with precision and ease, showing no signs of slowing down. The remaining alien ships tried to regroup, but their morale had shattered. They hadn't just underestimated the humans, they had misjudged them entirely. Inside the Terran warship, Captain Evan Harris stood on the command deck, watching the battle unfold. His face was calm, his hands steady on the controls. He had trained for this moment his whole life. He wasn't surprised by the aliens' response, but he was prepared. The warship was designed for this kind of conflict. It was built not just to survive, but to win. "Captain, we're taking heavy fire from the right flank," Lieutenant Vega reported, her voice calm but serious. "Redirect all power to the shields." Evan ordered, his voice firm, "and target their lead ship. We end this now." The warship's weapons roared to life, unleashing a blast of energy that sliced through the alien fleet like a hot knife through butter. The lead ship, the largest and most powerful of the alien fleet, was hit dead center. The blast tore through its hull, cutting it in half. A massive explosion followed. and the ship was reduced to nothing but space debris. The rest of the alien fleet hesitated. Some tried to flee, others tried to regroup, but it was too late. The humans had taken the first victory, and they had done it with ease. General Varnock watched from his ship as his fleet crumbled. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what had just happened. He had never seen anything like it. The humans had not only proven their strength, they had shown that they could fight in ways the galaxy had never imagined. This was no ordinary attack. It was a statement. "We've lost," Varnock muttered, his voice filled with disbelief. The remaining alien ships retreated, leaving the Terran Warship to continue its journey. The humans had won their first battle, but the war was far from over. The aliens were stunned, unsure of what to do next. They had never imagined that the humans, a species once thought to be insignificant, could pose such a serious threat. As the Terran Warship moved forward, the galaxy was left in shock. The humans had arrived, and they were not going to back down. The alien fleets would have to rethink their strategies, because they had just been shown what humanity was truly capable of. The question now was not whether the humans could be defeated, but how long it would take for the galaxy to recover from the shock of their arrival. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The Terran Warship had attacked, and the result was clear. The aliens had underestimated humanity in the most catastrophic way. Their fleets were scattered, their pride shattered, and their confidence shaken. It wasn't just a single battle, it was a statement. The Terrans were here, and they had no intention of turning back. Back at the alien command center, the leaders were scrambling. Commander Zorak, the head of the largest fleet, paced back and forth in front of a massive holographic map of the galaxy. The map now showed the location of the Terran Warship, moving steadily through their space without hesitation. It was as if the humans had never known fear. "This cannot continue," Zorak said, his voice sharp. "We have underestimated them for too long. Their technology, their tactics, we thought we had control. But now, they have control." The officers around him were silent. They had all seen the battle footage. They knew the truth now. The humans were not weak. They were not helpless. They had fought with a kind of resolve that the alien races had never expected. "We need more information," Zorak continued. "We need to know how they did it. How could they build such a powerful ship in such a short time?" The officers nodded, already preparing to send out more probes to Earth. They had to know how the Terrans had accomplished what seemed impossible. There had to be a reason for this, something they hadn't seen coming. Meanwhile, aboard the Terran Warship, the crew was focused. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Captain Evan Harris stood on the bridge, watching the stars outside the ship's windows. The ship had taken some damage in the fight, but nothing serious. The shields had held up, and the weapons were fully charged. The warship was ready for whatever came next. "Captain, we've intercepted an alien transmission," Lieutenant Vega said, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. "They're trying to figure out how we build the warship. They're desperate." For answers, Evan nodded. "Let them try. It won't matter. They'll never understand." There was no doubt in his mind. The Terran Warship wasn't just a marvel of engineering. It was a reflection of everything humanity had learned through centuries of struggle. They had fought wars on Earth, faced natural disasters, and survived the harshest conditions imaginable. Now, they had built something that would show the galaxy what it meant to be human. "Their leaders are questioning everything," Vega continued. "They're trying to figure out why we're so different." Evan smiled, a small but knowing grin. "It's simple. We're not like them. We don't give up. We never back down. And when they attack us, we fight back harder." As the Terran Warship continued its journey deeper into alien space, the human crew felt a growing sense of unity. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And they were proving, with each battle, that humanity would not be ignored. On the other side, the aliens were starting to realize that they were facing something new. The Terrans had no fear of their fleets, no fear of their weapons. They had no hesitation in their attacks. The humans fought with a determination that was unlike any other species the aliens had encountered. "They don't think like us," one alien officer said, his voice filled with frustration. "They don't run. They don't surrender. They fight until the end." General Varnick, who had been watching the battle from his flagship, stood up. His mind was filled with doubt and disbelief. The humans were not what they had thought. They weren't just a small, weak species. They were capable of extraordinary things. And now, Varnick feared that the galaxy might be facing the consequences of underestimating them. "This is not just about technology," Varnick said, turning to his officers. "The Terrans have something we don't have. They have resolve. A human will fight, no matter the odds, and that makes them dangerous." The alien officers were silent, each one thinking the same thing. They had made a mistake. They had dismissed humanity as weak, as a species that was too new, too small, to ever pose a real threat. But now, they were learning the hard way that humanity had strength in numbers, in unity, and in sheer determination. The galaxy was changing, and the Terrans were a part of that change. The alien fleets, once so confident in their dominance, were now unsure of their next move. How could they continue to fight against a species that refused to back down, no matter the cost? Meanwhile, on Earth, the people were watching the news with a mix of pride and anxiety. They had always known their world was capable of great things, but now they were witnessing it firsthand. The Terran Warship had become a symbol of human strength, and the world was united in its support of the mission. People from all corners of Earth stood behind their soldiers, their scientists, and their leaders. "I can't believe what I'm seeing," a journalist said in front of the camera. "The Terran Warship is taking on the galaxy's strongest fleets and winning. This isn't just a victory for the military, it's a victory for humanity." The human crew aboard the warship felt the weight of that victory, but they also knew that the war was far from over. The Terran Warship had proven its strength, but now they had to prove that humanity's resolve was just as powerful. Back on the bridge, Evan stood tall as he looked out into space. He could see the stars, the vast emptiness of the galaxy, and the unknown dangers that lay ahead. But he wasn't afraid. He knew his crew wasn't afraid either. They had come this far together, and they would continue to fight together. "This is just the beginning," Evan said, his voice steady. "The galaxy will know who we are, and we will not be stopped." The warship moved forward, its engines glowing bright against the dark backdrop of space. The alien forces were retreating, but the Terrans weren't done yet. They had proven themselves in the first battle, but the next would be even more difficult. There would be more challenges ahead, more dangers, and more battles. But humanity had already shown the galaxy that they would fight with everything they had. They would not be underestimated again. As the Terran Warship continued its journey, the rest of the galaxy watched, and they were learning something they had never expected. Humans were not a species to be ignored. They were a force that would change the galaxy forever. The galaxy had never been so divided. After the destruction of the alien scout fleet, the Terran Warship had continued its journey through space, unwavering and unstoppable. The aliens, once so confident in their power, now found themselves questioning everything. They had underestimated the humans. They had thought the Terrans would be no more than a nuisance, easily brushed aside. But now, the humans had delivered a blow to their pride and their fleets. They had made the galaxy take notice. In the alien command centers, a sense of urgency filled the air. The leaders of the various alien races were in constant communication, their conversations filled with a mixture of frustration, fear, and disbelief. No one had seen this coming. How could they have allowed this to happen? How could they have overlooked the humans and their potential? Now, they were facing the consequences of their actions. "We can't let this continue," Commander Zork said, his voice firm and filled with authority. He had commanded many battles, but this was unlike anything he had ever faced. The Terran Warship wasn't just another ship, it was a symbol of humanity's defiance. Their refusal to be silenced. Zork knew that if they didn't act fast, the humans would continue to move through the galaxy, challenging every empire they came across. "We have to stop them before they can gather more strength," Zork continued, pacing in front of a group of his top officers. "We need to strike now, while we still have the advantage." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. They knew that attacking The Terran Warship would not be easy. The humans had shown their ability to fight, to adapt, and to overcome. It wasn't just their technology, it was their will. The alien fleets had never faced an opponent like this before. The decision was made. Zork would lead the charge. The combined forces of the alien races would converge on the Terran Warship in one final attempt to destroy it before humanity could grow stronger. It was a desperate plan, but it was their only option. If they didn't act now, the humans would continue to challenge their dominance. Meanwhile, aboard the Terran Warship, Captain Evan Harris stood with a quiet confidence. The battle with the alien scout fleet had been a victory, but he knew this was far from over. The humans had won their first fight, but the real test was yet to come. The alien fleets would regroup, and they would come at them with everything they had. "We'll be ready for them," Evan said, his voice steady as he addressed his crew. "The warship is stronger than ever. Our weapons are fully charged, and our shields are holding. We've shown them we're not afraid to fight. Now we need to prove that we can win. No matter the odds." Lieutenant Vega stepped forward, her face serious. "Captain, we've intercepted another alien transmission. They're preparing for a large-scale assault. They're coming at us with everything they've got." Evan nodded, his expression unwavering. "I expected nothing less. They'll try to break us, but we won't let them. We've come this far, and we're not stopping now." As the alien fleets began to gather, the sense of impending battle hung heavy in the air. The galaxy watched in silence, waiting for the next move. The Terran Warship had become more than just a ship. It had become a symbol of human strength, of their ability to face the impossible and survive. The humans were no longer just a small, insignificant species. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the alien empires were beginning to understand that. The first wave of alien ships appeared on the horizon, a massive fleet that seemed to stretch on forever. The Terran Warship, undeterred, moved into position, ready for the battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. The two forces were about to collide, and the outcome was uncertain. But one thing was clear: the Terrans would not back down. As the battle began, the Terran Warship unleashed its full power. Energy blasts flew from its cannons, striking the alien ships with deadly precision. The alien fleets retaliated, launching wave after wave of attacks. But the Terran Warship was faster, more agile. Its shields held strong, and its weapons tore through the alien ships with ease. General Varnock, leading the alien forces from his flagship, watched in disbelief as his ships fell one by one. The Terran Warship was relentless. Every time they thought they had an advantage, the humans turned the tide in their favor. The aliens had no choice but to fall back, regroup, and try again. But every time they did, the humans were ready, their resolve never wavering. "This isn't possible," Varnock muttered to himself. "How are they doing this?" The battle raged on, but the aliens were losing ground. The Terran Warship was cutting through their forces with the precision of a blade, and the alien fleet was beginning to fracture. It was clear now that the humans had the upper hand. The alien forces were starting to panic. They had never fought a species like this. They had never fought anyone so determined to survive. On the bridge of the Terran Warship, the crew was working in perfect harmony. Every move was calculated, every decision made with the knowledge that the future of humanity rested on their shoulders. The humans were fighting for their place in the galaxy, and they were proving that they were a force that could not be ignored. "We've got them on the run, Captain," Vega reported, her voice filled with determination. "The alien fleet is retreating." Evan didn't smile. He didn't feel the need to celebrate. The battle wasn't over yet. "Keep the pressure on. We don't stop until they're out of our space." The alien fleet was falling apart. What had once seemed like an unstoppable force was now in retreat. The Terran Warship had turned the tide of the battle, and it was clear that the humans were not just surviving, they were winning. The galaxy had witnessed the first real clash between humanity and the alien forces, and the Terrans had emerged victorious. As the last of the alien ships fled, the galaxy was left in shock. The humans had done the impossible. They had taken on the most powerful fleets in the galaxy and emerged victorious. The alien empires, once so sure of their superiority, were now forced to reconsider everything. The Terran Warship had proven that humanity was not just a small, insignificant species, they were a power that could not be ignored. On Earth, the news spread quickly. The victory of the Terran Warship was celebrated by all. The people of Earth had shown the galaxy what they were capable of, and the galaxy, now aware of humanity's strength, knew that the days of underestimating the Terrans were over. But as the humans celebrated, Evan Harris stood quietly on the bridge, looking out into the vastness of space. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The aliens would regroup, and there would be more challenges ahead. But for now, humanity had proven that they would fight for their place in the galaxy, and they would not be easily defeated.